This pit is absolutely loaded. Whoa! That's one of the coolest things I've ever found. Welcome to the channel. My name's Tom. I travel the US digging for artifacts. Today I'll be working behind where the Acme Hotel and Saloon once was in East Grand Forks, Minnesota. It was a pioneer era business built in 1882 and was active until it burned in 1902. The site has some incredible potential, so this could get really good. The hotel stood up facing the street. The backside was about even with this concrete slab. And just along here were buildings. There was a hotel livery bar and a well. This is where all the activity took place. What I'll be doing is pushing a probe rod through the ground and feeling for objects and compaction differences and hopefully find a spot to dig. I'm directly out back of the building. And over here, I pushed a probe rod through the ground. I felt some ashes, maybe some glass. You'll see I kicked some marks in the ground. This is the area I'll be digging. Down about a foot, this pit is loaded. I've been hitting fragments down here, some china likely left over from the old hotel. Looks like some kind of prescription bottle. Oh wow, okay, it's a liquor flask. It's broken, but that has an 1898 patent date. The hotel burned in 1902, so this is definitely from that era. And a Davis vegetable painkiller. I find these all over the place. I believe the company stopped making these sometime in the 1890s. All right, looks like an extract bottle of some sort. This would have been like a flavoring extract. It's got a tooled top. Again, likely from that turn of the century era. Wow, so this looks like it could be part of a store window, could be to the hotel. It was common back in the day to paint the windows for advertising purposes. I was finding other fragments of this. I'm hoping I'll find the rest and piece it together. Oh hey, so that's a prescription drugstore bottle from the drugstore of Schleberg and Griffin. They operated together in the early 1900s. I found a good few of these around town over the years. Wow, this could have been a bitters bottle, a Red Star stomach bitters from St. Paul, Minnesota. I don't see any embossing, so I can't say for sure, but this was likely used in the hotel's saloon. I'm into a solid ash layer. You'll see all this gray. Those are ashes from the stoves at the hotel, likely from cooking meals and heating the place. So here's an extract bottle. This was a flavoring extract, likely used for baking at the hotel's restaurant. And this layer here is just loaded with glass. This is a prescription bottle. Could have been from a local drugstore. I'd put this at about 1900. Would have had a paper label on the front. Now this here looks like some kind of enamelware piece. It never ceases to amaze me how well this stuff holds up in the ground. Wow! Look at that. That's an old coffee pot. That's again, turn of the century, maybe even earlier. It's a metal with a enamel glazing over it, basically. If you get into a use layer here, could be an old outhouse pit we're digging in, which would be great. All kinds of stuff was thrown down these things. It's like a little oil bottle. It kind of looks like a 3-in-1 oil, but there's no embossing on this thing. We've had a paper label on the front. That's unusual. This is a really heavy glass. It could have been like a salt or pepper shaker. Could have sat on the table at the hotel's restaurant. Well, this was in the ash layer. Looks like a drinking glass. Must have been from the saloon, maybe the hotel's kitchen. This is a very fine glass. It's very thin, fragile. We may have an old bitters bottle here. Looks like could be a Red Star stomach bitters. Not sure, but looks like it might be intact. Carefully. Wow, look at that. That is really something. That's beautiful. It's got a really nice pattern. We've had a paper label on it. Fortunately, there's no other embossing other than a maker's mark on bottom. Not a date code, just a code on the bottom. I did find part of a broken Hutchinson soda bottle clearing this out. I don't know if it's a dipped pit or what's going on, but the age isn't getting much better than about 1900. Looks like some kind of liquor bottle. Again, would have had a paper label on it. Dates back to about 1900. Looks like there's a soda bottle up under here in the bricks. There's also some kind of sauce bottle here, but this one looks easier to get out. It looks like a Worcestershire sauce bottle, and it's got the glass stopper in place. It's a turn of the century piece. This one I have to be careful with all the stuff going on around it. I see bottling works. Oh, the top's knocked off. Okay, it's a Twin City. Wow, Twin City Bottling Works, Grand Forks, North Dakota. This is a rare one. I have not seen many of these over the years. It dates back to about 1900. I'm working in the corner here. Looks like there might be a liquor bottle of some sort. There were all kinds of bricks thrown in around this area, so I'm amazed there's anything intact. Oh yeah, look at that. It's like a whiskey bottle. It's a turn mold piece. Had a metal band around the top there. That's in great shape. Really nice colored glass. And yeah, that's the edge of it right there. You can see this kind of clay cap that was thrown over the top of it. What do we have here? Huh, still has part of a label on it. American something. It was probably an extract, some kind of flavoring extract. It's a tooled top, turn of the century piece. I see some embossing here. Might be a couple pieces. What do we have? Ruby foam for the teeth, put up by E.W. Hoyt and Company, Lowell, Massachusetts. That's a classic. Actually, the first pit I dug in Grand Forks had one of these in it. And this, I saw some embossing on it. Lactopeptine, New York Pharmacal Association. All right, it's like a Blake style, almost looks like a prescription bottle, but I think it was some kind of patent medicine of some sort. Up here, there's some kind of wine bottle, it looks like. Okay, top's broken off, but this is a Hawk wine. It's a turn mold piece. These are actually really cool bottles. They're really tall, narrow pieces. A couple more pieces in the wall. This one's kind of got a ribbed edge on it here. Looks like a drinking glass, likely from the hotel's saloon. Yeah, it dates back to about 1905. Some kind of aqua bottle. There's all these bricks here. I'm amazed this thing survived. That's a Worcestershire sauce, Lee & Perrins. That's the same company, still in business today. Yeah, this is the same era, kind of turn of the century. I was working my way through the ash layer here. I may have found the bottom of this thing. It's about 5 feet deep, but I haven't hit any use layer. I don't think it was the old outhouse unless it was cleaned out very well. I've just been picking around the sides here trying to find anything left over, but let's see here. Looks like a liquor bottle, luckily from the Acme Hotel's saloon. It's full of groundwater. It dates back to about 1900. This pit's done. Here's the haul. I concluded this was a trash dump used by the hotel circa 1900. Got a good few pieces here. That enamelware coffee pot's cool. I believe that's called spongeware, those Crocs. Got some zinc glazed pieces likely used from the hotel's kitchen. A liquor glass of some sort, a patent medicine, some extracts, Worcestershire sauce, prescription bottles, some liquor bottles. Also got I don't know, some metal pieces, chipped stone, and all these bricks. Well, there you have it. We'll get this thing filled back in. This spot cleaned up great. I did notice that the contents didn't get close to when the hotel started, so I continued gridding off and probing the lot. Just over there, you'll see I put an orange marker in the ground. I pushed a probe rod through the ground and I hit a loss of compaction and a bunch of glass. That's a really good indicator. We'll get this thing opened up. I'm amazed. We found a brick-lined pit. This is the second one I've seen in the area. If you look close, you'll see some marks in the center. That must have been for the divider. Men's and women's would have been a 2-seater. You also see a solid use layer down there. Here's what we found so far. Plenty of fragments, some broken bottles. There's actually a couple machine-cut nails, also known as square nails. Those were discontinued around 1895. There's also fragments of a bitters or tonic bottle That likely dates back to the start of the town. We're in it. Into a solid use layer. Looks like some kind of prescription bottle here. What do we got? I've never seen anything like this. It's like a wide-mouthed Blake style bottle. It's got a S with a monogram on it. It still has the cork in it. This has got to be from the 1890s. Look at that. Coffee cup, an ironstone coffee cup. Likely from the restaurant being run in the Acme. And an old leather boot sole, it looks like. That's a relic for sure. It's amazing to think this stuff was thrown down here really 120 plus years ago. Looks like another bottle. Oh, here we go, another one. Looks like a prescription bottle from about 1900. This likely came from a local drugstore. It's cool how the corks were preserved down at this level. Here we go, Trepanier and Company, pharmacists, Grand Forks, North Dakota. That's amazing. That's a really good piece there. Looks to be in great shape. Has some groundwater in it, maybe some original contents. Look at all this stuff in here. Got another coffee cup. See, this is as I mentioned, ironstone. So ironstone china, this stuff was heavier than normal tableware. Normal tableware was semi-porcelain, but this stuff was durable. It was made for commercial use, like in hotels and restaurants. And a liquor flask. That's a shoe fly style. This would have held whiskey or brandy, likely from the hotel's saloon. There's just layers of stuff down here. What do we have here? Dr. King's new discovery for consumption. H.E. Buckland and Company, Chicago, Illinois. And if you look, it looks like there's some kind of a metal piece on the cork that was likely used to pull it out. Consumption, yeah, was tuberculosis, and yeah, this dates back to the turn of the century era. Some kind of paneled piece down here. This pit is loaded. A little, I think they call these a frozen Charlotte doll. It was based off of an old poem about a girl going to a dance and didn't want to dress up and wrinkle her dress, and she ended up freezing on the way. This is a Victorian era piece. And another prescription bottle. That's Turn of the century, has some groundwater in it. Would have had a paper label on the front. What's going on with this piece here? I think there's a couple down here. Wow, medical discovery. Roxbury, Massachusetts, Dr. Kennedy. This is an oldie. This is a relic of the old days. It looks like it might actually have some contents in it. You'll see Dr. Kennedy's a medical discovery. That's amazing. Some kind of round bottle down here. I usually take these down layer by layer, but this just keeps giving. Wow, it's some kind of maybe a wine bottle. It's full of groundwater. It has a mark for a seal, maybe a paper label would have gone in that round area on the shoulder. Again, a 1890s piece. That's what I thought it was. This is an incredible find. This is major. So I mentioned we're digging behind the Acme Hotel and Saloon. This is a shot glass from the Saloon. You think about like the old West days, people sitting at the bar taking shots of whiskey. I mean, here's the shot glass. Looks like it's mint. And a wine bottle. Now, this thing's got an applied top. That's got to be from the 1890s. You know, it's got some fluid in it. It could be groundwater. Looks like it has some color to it, though. That is something. And another wine bottle, I believe. Yeah, it's got that blank seal on the front of it. It still has a cork in place. Wow. And another drinking glass of some sort, definitely from the Saloon. Looks like could be a pressed glass piece of some sort. The stem broke off, so they discarded it. We may have found bottom here. It looks like yeah, some kind of cement liner, some kind of stucco liner. But there could be something underneath it. We'll have to double check just to be sure. And a plate from the restaurant, so we got it all. We got saloon artifacts, restaurant artifacts. Look at that, ironstone china warranted. So this is an English piece. It's definitely made for utility wear, utility purposes. And some kind of little, maybe perfume or cologne bottle. It actually has some embossing on it. What do we got? Leitner or Lightner? Oh, wow. Michigan. Looks like Lightner, Detroit, Michigan. Now, I'll find a lot of like cologne perfume bottles in saloon settings. You know, sometimes I wonder if it could have been from like a woman of the night, or just maybe the saloon keeper wanting to smell good for the guests. This pit is absolutely loaded. Whoa! That's one of the coolest things I've ever found. It's a cobalt blue spittoon. That is something else. They would have had these sitting at the bar, sitting at the saloon. People would have spit their tobacco into them. Almost looks like it could have a pontil mark on the bottom, but I can't say for sure. Could have been like a handmade piece. I'll be sure to find the other pieces to this. There's just pieces just intertwined with each other down here. Looks like another liquor flask, shoe fly style, 1890s. Well, this railroad spike just flipped out. That's an early one. It could be a tent stake. Looks like it's definitely from the late 1800s. But yeah, this pit is just absolutely loaded. I can barely get a trowel through without hitting something. There's a prescription bottle. Dates back to the 1890s. And another one. Any markings? An M and a circle on bottom. Or I guess it could be a W and a circle. Probably from the glass house that made it. And we've got a liquor flask. Looks like a strap-sided piece. Still has some groundwater in it. I'll work my way across the bottom here. This is unusual. I couldn't even begin to guess what this is. Some kind of glass or maybe a vase. You know, it could have been a water pitcher. I guess there was a restaurant being run here, so that's possible. And another liquor flask. Whatever was in these strap-sided bottles must have been good. There's a good few of them down here. The solid use layer. I've noticed mainly ashes. I haven't seen much, if any, lime. That was to neutralize the smell. Here's a shell. Could have been from a meal served at the hotel long ago. Oh wow. Okay, what do we have here? Whiskey. It's a JoJo style flask. Bourbon mash whiskey. That is amazing. I'll have to spray fixative on this, like an artist fixative, to preserve it. These will start deteriorating. This is amazing. Some kind of a, that's a mustache cup. It's an old mustache cup. So look at this design. These things were ornate, and it's got a piece in it there. If I remember, so your mustache wouldn't get wet from the liquid. You know, that's got a really nice pattern. It's got to be from the late 1800s. We've got a glass lid. Or no, it's the bottom to a liquor glass, probably a bar glass of some sort. And another old leather boot. That's definitely seen its better days. Looks like it might have had some wear on the bottom. I'm sure they wore them out. Things were used well back in the day. And another one of these wine type bottles with the seal on it. Has still some groundwater in it. Look at this, just a solid layer of artifacts on the bottom here. Got another prescription bottle, no embossing on it. Could have been from a local drugstore or one down the rail line, I guess. The railroad depot was nearby. Wow, guitar here. Some kind of old patent medicine bottle, tooled top. And another old boot. I think this is the match to that other one. And I recognize this, a Rex Oval style. This was extremely popular around the turn of the century. Still has the cork in it. And a little ointment pot. Looks like a zinc glazed piece. Looks like we may have some kind of bar glass or chalice. Look at that. Another Wild West Saloon artifact. Wow. And we got a little barrel style ink made by the Sanford Ink Company. This thing's got a tooled top. It's 1890s time frame. And some kind of a liquor flask. Got a P and a circle on the bottom, likely from the glass company, some kind of a glass house mark. Oh wow, this is a cool one. Allen's Lung Balsam, Cincinnati. It's like a J.N. Harrison Company. So you got J.N. Harrison Company on one panel, Cincinnati, that would be Cincinnati, Ohio, and then Allen's Lung Balsam. Got some kind of cloth here. I'm amazed it's survived in the ground this long. Could be some kind of undershirt of some sort. It's just deteriorating rapidly. I wish this thing had been embossed. That's unusual. It's got a key mold on the bottom. Seems like that kind of style was out of use during the 1880s probably, but this looks to be a circa 1900 bottle. What do we have here? National Remedy Company, New York. You know, we've dug a few of these before. It's a really cool name. Cork top bottle. Oh wow, a little homeopathic vial. These held tiny pills. They had paper labels on them, on the bottles here. I've seen like Hood's pills before. Yeah, just little pill bottles. Here we go, Trepanier & Company Pharmacists, Grand Forks, North Dakota. Now, I believe they were the second pharmacy in Grand Forks. They were started in 1877. DM Holmes, I believe, had the first pharmacy. He started that same year. Okay, we've got some embossing on this. I don't even recognize the shape of the bottle. Thomas Electric Oil, internal and external, Foster Milburn and Company. That's wild. So, you know, this was around the time Thomas Edison, you know, was patenting his inventions. They were becoming popular. I'm guessing this was kind of piggybacking off of the fame. Got some embossing. F.W. Schleberg, druggist, Grand Forks, Endak. And I think that was Frank Schleberg was his name. They had a drugstore here in the 1890s, maybe into the turn of the century. And another prescription bottle. Got an M in a circle or a W in a circle on the bottom. No other embossing. I'm working out the final corners here, the final side. This has been an interesting excavation, that's for sure. It's helped having the cement lined sides and bottom. I didn't have to guess where anything was. St. Jacob's Oil, the Charles A. Volger Company, Baltimore, Maryland. I've dug a lot of these. These date to the turn of the century era. Another prescription bottle, tooled top piece. Oh, okay, an indoor toilet. So this was before indoor plumbing. I guess it was more of like a chamber pod, an early form of a toilet. They would have dumped it out in the outhouse, could have broken, so they threw it, or they were dumping it and dropped it down and it broke. like a little, like a butter pat, like they from the hotel's restaurant. And the final corner. Pit's done. Here's the haul. I concluded this was an outhouse pit used by the Acme, probably from the start up to the time it burned. Being it was brick lined, it was likely cleaned out a few times. Everything here, for the most part, dated back to the turn of the century era, just before the hotel burned. Got some patent medicine bottles, that lady's spittoon, some wines, all those drugstore prescription bottles, including those Grand Forks ones, the stoneware, some bricks, liquor bottles, that shot glass, some other bar glasses. Well, there you have it. We'll get it filled back in.